Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by...
There's Dave.
Today we got another GM 911. The GM says, my player wants to do what? Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Hey, don't forget, down in that description, you'll also find the original GM 911. And that comes to us by DM Johnny.
So if you have a GM 911 that you'd like to submit to us, best way, as always, is email us at nerdarchy@gmail.com. Put GM 911 in the subject.
So he's got a very campaign-specific thing going on in his game, and he's got these elemental stones that were sent to mortals in order to help shape the world and protect them and do all these fabulous things. They've been lost, but now they're being recovered. And his bard in the party wants to embed one in his forehead.
So he wants to know how would we deal with this? How would we handle it in our game without just be like, oh, you've got a curse on you.
So the idea is that there's repercussions for doing this. Not only does he get to tap into the power of the stone, but there might be some side effects, and I'm totally cool with this. Like there was definitely, you could definitely do things like the character's always like perspiring or seems to be perspiring, just because he's coated in water because it's a water stone. You could do things where anytime he interacts with a creature that would be like fire based or elemental based from fire, they automatically just don't like him.
They've got or disadvantage on those kind of skill, the charisma based skill checks.
Yeah, your social skills. At the same time, you might, if you're going to do that, you might be like, oh well, you get advantage on charisma based skills from things from the elemental plane of water, or maybe cold based as well, if you're kind of grouping those energy types together.
So I would look at this as two things. Now I don't know whether DM Johnny has already prepared this as a magic item, but I would, if you haven't created it yet, I would absolutely base it off of, not because this guy's a bard, but just because of the way they're built, the instruments, because you have access to spells within them, and I would pick what spells they are. I would absolutely require this to have attunement, even though you're, shunting this thing into your forehead. You're going to have the natural side effect of, any kind of body changing that's going to be done. People are going to find it odd. So some people are going to ask frequently, what is that in your head?
Right. I had some thoughts on that as well. Maybe it absorbs into the skin and it's not visible. But that being said, I would have it leave like a circular wave tattoo or something to represent what it is. Or you could just do like there's a stone in your head, whatever you wanted to do. Obviously, attunement, I don't know if it's a curse or not, but I might not automatically allow them to unattune to this item.
So yeah, I would actually say that would make a lot of sense, that there had to be some kind of quest or ritual that have to be performed in order to unattune beyond just the normal, I spend an hour and it's done. I would want to go one step further. I would give him, for this part, I would allow the player's feedback, but I would want to change his skin blue. So the side effect of that. And I would give him the side effect of he's now an elemental creature.
Has the elemental type.
So he has the elemental type and therefore would be subject to that kind of stuff. He's a level 9 bard, so he's not a challenge 5 that could be summoned by just any old person. So he's immune to that at least.
Well, maybe you'd have to look and convert, which is really weird anyway. He might still be summonable, but barely.
That's something that I would absolutely do, but I mean it would, like, a banishment spell is going to send him to the elemental plane of water.
Ooh, that could be nasty.
That could be a problem.
Now, role-playing wise, like, are people looking for these stones? Are they important to people? Like, he becomes a target for them, and if they don't know, like, if he doesn't know how to unattune to it, they might be like, well, we're just going to cut it out of you, and that's going to leave a corpse. Like, so there could be role-playing implications as well. Maybe these stones have natural enemies like fire creatures or something along those lines that seek to destroy these stones and take them out. Or maybe the stones are a holy relic to certain cultures and people in your world. And it's not so much that they insist on like getting it out of them by any means necessary, but they might be like, well, you got to kind of come back to the temple and just live there now. It's fine. You know, they've become like the Dalai Lama, and you know, you just got to hang out.
The stones were created to shape the land and protect against natural disasters, war, and that kind of stuff. So while they might not be sentient themselves, they might have the barest concept of such, and that and since it's now incorporated within living flesh, it has the ability to attempt to persuade or guide or compel
Well, it could
the
essentially
character.
be an intelligent item.
Right.
Like it might not be full sentience, but it could have its own goals and things that it objects to or whatever. But also too, like, what if you know the word gets out that you're now the vessel for the stone, and there could be secret societies that try to acquire it. There could be cults that spring up that follow you around and they won't leave you alone. They're like they become like worshippers almost.
They're groupies.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And then you have to deal with that. And you're like, no, you guys can't come in the dungeon with me. You're all gonna die horribly, you know, or whatever. Or you know, you go places and you cause a scene. So there's definitely things like that could definitely happen.
So I like the idea of, you know, being compelled to go on quests. I love the idea of the groupies, especially because it's a bard. So we're guessing he's already going to have a high charisma,
Mm.
and it's a bard. So what bard doesn't want groupies?
That's
So
true, but he went on with these groupies.
that's true.
They might like kill his mojo altogether. You know, I would be careful though about being like completely punitive about it. I would rather create like with the compulsions. Like that part could be tricky because no, especially if like it's going to be an ongoing thing that will get old really quick.
There's ways to do it that's not just, you know, jerkish. You know, you could feel like, all right, well, you've got a strong pulling to go in this direction, and you know, every several sessions, it's like, all right, you feel like if you don't do this, bad things are going to happen, and you could leave it at that, or you could use this as a way to help guide the story that you're already wanting to tell anyway, that the players might be going on anyway, but you want to make sure that you're not taking away that player's complete agency, but giving them direction.
Well, also too, if you wanted this to be like a magic item that levels up, completing tasks might help that facilitate that happening, and then also you know players like loot. So like, wait a minute, when I do what the stone wants, I get better. Then you know, then that would probably encourage them to go along with it, and it'll be less compelling and more nudging.
Yeah, so like if you were to base it off of like the instrument of the bards, everything has different spells that it can cast, and again at, you know, whatever level. So if you were to cast, if you were to have this thing level up as the player gains access to new tiers of spells, and if it's completing the quests, the item could unlock new spells for it as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. And again too, like going back with the role playing scenarios, you know, I really like the idea of like a cult springing up and like following this guy around and worshiping him and what he represents. But with that, you could also have like other cults that are for the other stones, and maybe their opposition. You know, there could also be good. There could be like you know a good side and an evil side to it as well. So where maybe you have the followers that are like, hey, all happy, we're just glad we can follow you around and be happy, and be like, no, there's this other wrathful storm element cult, right? And they're like, no, you're gonna come with us and be part of you're gonna lead us whether you like it or not. We're, you know, or maybe they're the ones that are like, yeah, we need that. That's a holy relic to us, and we're gonna kill you so we can get it, so we can go, you know, sink cities and stuff.
yeah, I mean, you could go on a smaller tier and just have foils as well that, you know, are designed either for, you know, actually in this case, foil would be against that particular stone. So you have created agents that are working against what the players are doing solely because this guy has the stone.
Your bard gets tied up for years in litigation in the town. You know, they're not allowed to leave, and you know it's just court date after court date. He's going through his gold like it's going out of style, and it put all because he put this stone in his forehead.
So what do you guys think? Is there anything that you would suggest the GM Johnny use in this particular instance? Is It's a great place to offer that suggestion. That's down in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay
stay
nerdy.
nerdy.